This morning, a new exhibit marking the 50th anniversary of a life-changing book, what may be the book about New York City. Robert Caro's The Power Broker came out this week in 1974. It chronicled the 40-plus-year reign of Robert Moses, who built just about every bridge and expressway you can think of in America's largest city. Though he was never elected to public office, he reigned like a king until his career was given a whole new assessment by Caro. This is the first time you've seen this exhibit.
Yes.
At the New York Historical Society, Robert Caro is getting a new look at the old notes that produced a masterpiece.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
The Power Broker, Robert Moses and the Fall of New York.
How many people can read your note-taking?
Oh, the handwriting?
Yeah.
As you see, it's not my strong point.
Caro's book on the master builder who was feared by mayors, governors, and presidents told the story of a man who loomed over New York City for more than 4 decades.
We got too many critics. We got too many mud throwers. Too many people who foul their nest in New York. That's our trouble.
You know what I never noticed before is this famous photo of him is very similar.
Oh, my goodness. I never noticed that myself.
Upstairs here, the full Caro archives are housed.
Look at you, you were 30.
Was I that old? Yeah.
Where you can see the early formation of a groundbreaking journalist and writer, including Caro's big break, an investigative story called Misery Acres, a land scam targeting New York retirees, told through the eyes of one victim.
This was a big change for me, that if you tell a story through one person in enough depth, you don't have to do the long thing.
Because people know people. People...
That's very good what you just said.
Following his early days as a Newsday reporter, Caro decided to document Robert Moses, an unelected official who controlled New York City's roads and parks, and made no apologies for it.
New York has too many critics. We ought to get rid of some of them.
I started out, I thought the Robert Moses book would take a year, you know? I had no idea of what I was, getting into.
7 years of research and writing later, Caro brought to light the scope of Moses' spectacular achievements, which, while unprecedented, were only possible because Moses ran 500,000 people out of their homes to make way for highways, favoring car owners and the wealthy at the expense of the less fortunate.
According to some of the gurus and uplift organizations, we ought to negotiate with every individual until he's happy. Can you imagine when you build anything under those conditions?
Caro took biography to his new singular level. The Power Broker is on its 75th printing.
I think about Robert Caro and reading The Power Broker back when I was 22 years old. And just being mesmerized, and I'm sure it helped to shape how I think about politics.
For years I worried, was I too hard on Robert Moses? But in the last few weeks of really thinking hard about it, I've come to the conclusion I was too easy on him.
One of the great things about the book is that it exists not just on a historical or biographical level, but a literary level. Why was the writing and then narrative so important for you, to make it almost like a fiction book?
I had to make people see what he did to New York City, what he did to people. You can't just say it. It can't be just a biography that's like a journalistic piece. You have to show it.
How much do you wonder how different New York would have looked if not for Robert Moses? Do you think about that?
I used to think about it, I must say.
You've had other things on your mind.
Yeah.
After Moses, Caro turned his eyes to Lyndon Johnson. He has spent the last 50 years detailing Johnson's life in 4 volumes, with a fifth yet to come.
Tonight, no one is allowed to ask this man, when is the next Lyndon Johnson book coming out? We will get this next book when he's damn well ready to give it to us, and not until then.
While the demand for Robert Caro's time has never been greater,
I happen to love just sitting in a library going through papers, you know.
it was and is solitary, arduous work.
Do you still feel lonely?
There is a loneliness, yes. I mean, I have friends I like to have lunch with, and I have very few lunches with them. You know, I think I'm naturally a pretty friendly guy,
yeah,
but I act very unfriendly. I don't have the ability, which other writers have, to be social and then go back to my office. I get up in the morning, you know, sort of trying to concentrate on what I'm going to write that day.
If you had to do it all over again,
yes,
the book, is there anything you'd do differently?
You ask good questions. No.
Great answer.
Oh, great answer, right?
No.
I picked up The Power Broker for the first time. I spent 15 or 20 years before we did this story. It blows you away every time. The level of detail, the reporting, and the artistry, the style that he puts into it, it's just, it's unreal. And same thing with the Lyndon Johnson books, to be honest with you.
Master of the Senate is amazing. I have to say, I was at a Long Island book festival about a month ago. That book, I didn't see Caro, but the book itself was in 20 to 50 people's hands.
Yeah.
It was just a rock star.
Great job.